Something else. We got news yesterday that Roki Sasaki, the Japanese import, the prized Japanese import, who is coming over earlier than his expiration date allows for, which means he's going to sign a reasonable 6-year contract with a major league employer.
$3 to $4 million.
I mean, you're the steal of the century.
I mean,
we're talking about an Ohtani type theft here. He has limited his group of suitors. After having eliminated a bunch of teams yesterday, we have exclusive video on who was eliminated and how it went down. Here it was. All the suitors presented themselves, Harold, in the court of Sasaki, gladiator style. And there's Roki eyeing up the suitors, and he said to this group of suitors,
Sayonara.
Sayonara. No thanks, Mets. No thanks, Cubs. Here's who's still in it, according to Jeff Passan. The finalists, the Dodgers, shocker, the Padres, and the Blue Jays, according to sources telling ESPN. Sasaki will decide on his team by the closing of the posting period on the 23rd. He traveled to San Diego, per Dennis Lin of The Athletic, to meet with the Padres after last week's visit to Toronto. So we're led to believe now, and, of course, Will Salmon and Ken Rosenthal credited with that information, too. We're led to believe he's met in person with all three of those teams, Toronto, San Diego, Los Angeles. Sift through the suitors for me. I know that you've been saying Dodgers all along. Can you make any kind of a case for the other two teams?
Well, Toronto's been in it for every major free agent out there, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure he got the Shohei Ohtani treatment, which was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. All the things they laid out that is happening in the international city of Toronto. I do believe that most Japanese players and most international players, if I went to somewhere else that would be international for me, I would want to try to find people that can help navigate through. You know, I'm looking for more Americans. He's probably looking for more Japanese culture.
Okay.
So Toronto expressed that, showed that, did a great job. I just don't think he's going to end up there. I think the one thing you would want, if Matt or Harold went to play in another country, you want somebody you can have a companionship with, right? Talk to and go to the ballpark and play on the same team with. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he has that in Toronto. I know that exists in San Diego and in L.A.
Yeah.
San Diego, Yu Darvish, believe it or not, is the king. Whether it's Ohtani or whether it's
he's
Sasaki,
the OG. He's the OG.
He is the OG.
He's got
man.
4 more years on his deal there.
Yes. So he's got 4 more years in San Diego. They love him, all the Japanese players. He was kind of that guy, right, for them. But in L.A., he's got 2 of his current heroes. You know, you got Ohtani, who's the most popular Japanese player on the planet right now, and Yamamoto, who is his pitching partner on that picture we just saw, Japanese WBC team. This guy's the youngster that they all put their arm around. He's only 23. And so we get a chance to see him at the WBC, but all that time, this is a close-knit. They're planning and getting ready for the Olympics, you know, in 28. For the softball teams and all that, they practice and travel together. U.S., we're playing in colleges, we're all over the place. For the MLB, you're doing your season.
Right.
We're riding together as a team, and here's what we're doing in team workouts. They've taken this youngster at 18 and said, come with me, here's how I do it. Let's go eat, let's spend time. So they've developed that relationship. He has that going with the guys in L.A. That's my long take.
That's your case for the Dodgers. I'm going to make my case for the Padres.
All right, let me hear it.
First of all, they haven't done anything this winter, as this board would illustrate. It feels like because of this, because of the relative inactivity, and a lot of people have discounted this by saying it's because they had so many outstanding contractual obligations.
We got that full screen built?
Built. Additions, 0. Why? Because they're putting all their eggs in the Roki Sasaki basket. Do you think it's a coincidence that A.J. Preller learned how to speak Japanese recently? He has been working for this moment. He's mysterious. He's Willy Wonka. First of all, he looks like Willy Wonka. Secondly, pure imagination. It's pure imagination to think you could poach this guy from the Dodgers' clutches. I think he goes to San Diego. I also think that if you're the player and you're being courted by each city. You land in L.A., it's a series of connected sub-communities and subdivisions and cities. It's big. It's difficult to get your head around. You land in San Diego. You land at General Mitchell Airport. The drive to the ballpark is around the water. Mm-hmm. You're like, wow, what is this place? This is pretty magical. Take them up to La Jolla, have lunch at George's on the Cove, right? I think that the romancing is easy when you're San Diego, especially with a general manager that speaks Japanese.
What is Dave Roberts? Half what?
Half Japanese.
Hello.
He doesn't speak much Japanese,
Doesn't
though.
have to. Where are they starting the season this year? In where? Japan. They're going to Tokyo.
Oh, I can't wait to see where this dude signs, because I think I'm right.
Your first big league series. I am no doubt he's the Dodger.
All right, the Pods are going to surprise. We'll circle back.
That's good.
From a young guy beginning his career in the big leagues to an older dude who's just a few months away from turning 42, who has another year of canvas left on his Hall of Fame career. The Giants introduced Justin Verlander in a Zoom press conference yesterday. Can we get the dude in a room with a microphone and a lectern, please? Here's how it went.
Quite frankly, before Buster called me, wasn't really in my consideration. And then in doing some research after Buster called, obviously immediately you're like, man, really tough division. I just think that there's a really good chance that this team can do something special. And from everything that I've heard, the guys, the culture that's been built in this organization is something special. I've changed a lot of my offseason program. I have, for the first time in my career, I've not put down a ball. I kept throwing all offseason. I've always been very lucky that I just pick it up and start throwing. Well, at 41, that caught up with me. So that was an adjustment that I've made that I feel like is paying big dividends already. I'm already up to 92 and trying to pull the reins a little bit, not overdo it.
A couple of interesting takeaways there as you take a look at Justin Verlander's Hall of Fame resume. No doubt, first ballot. Forget about any counter argument to that fact. I think the revelation, or the transparency that he gave us yesterday, in maybe a little insight as to how he got dinged up. And last year, 17 starts, mid-5s ERA, and there were a lot of people whispering about a decline. Mm-hmm. He says no. He says he's changed his offseason routine. He has not stopped throwing. And, in his late 30s, early 40s, the idea that he could stop and start on a calendar year the way he used to when he was younger was probably something that was to his detriment. So he's not doing that. I'm curious to see how, Justin Verlander, it's not even 2.0, it's like 5.0. How it looks in that Giants uniform in that ballpark.
Well, and that ballpark. You said it. Look, he's been pitching in Houston. I mean, you give up a pop fly, it's gone. He knows that. And he hadn't thought about San Francisco. First thing he said was, it's a tough division. But he also knows that ballpark, I can pitch in. I can make a mistake, and that ball's staying in the park.
Yeah.
You make a mistake in Houston, that ball's out of the park. Your stuff has to be crisp. It has to be premier Justin Verlander. He doesn't have to throw 99 and 100. And if he makes a mistake, they don't hit it. Mm-hmm. At 94, 95, you have to be perfect. And he doesn't have to be perfect in San Francisco. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I'm excited.
Agreed.
Anytime these guys say, I dare you to challenge me. Here we go.
Yeah, this is personal, professional pride, too, for him.
Talking about personal pride and challenge, we challenged Lauren to show up today.
I did.
Not sleeping on the sweater either, man.
Well,
that's
it's a
nice.
flannel. It's not really a sweater. Thank you.
Still nice.
You know what I was thinking about when I saw Justin Verlander on Zoom? I was thinking he hates press conferences as much as Matt.
I mean, honestly, it's on Zoom, and we're putting what's the next thing we put on TV here? A phone call between two bros just hanging out?
Stop it.
Can there be some formality to it at all?
If he wasn't a Hall of Famer, that's a big get. Like, we got a Hall of Famer. When Justin Verlander says that's it, going straight to
that's why it should be an actual press conference.
You want to see it?
He needs to be in person.
Okay. You love a good press conference because you like the sights and the sounds and the angles. And yesterday's, you know where I'm going with this.
I do know.
Was no different.
I was lucky enough to get to compete against him for a number of years and have always admired
What?
The way that he takes care of business.
Look at Justin's name.
If you guys can just, all the media on here, if you can just mute yourselves, please.
I'll change it. All right, I'll change it.
Yes. It was so good. See, this is what everybody was noticing. He was on his wife's Zoom connection.
But not just his wife, the wife, right? She has a Zoom profile. If you're a star, do you have that? Does it say Kate Upton? I mean, is his email address justinverlander@hotmail.com? No. Only you have Hotmail, by the way.
I mean, I just thought it was funny.
I just thought it was funny how they shut it down.
Oh, the reporters all noticed that on the call. Like, here he is. This is your new prize to your starting staff, and everybody's hyper focused on the teeny tiny font that says Kate Upton.
I know, but that's the challenge with those Zooms. If you don't mute your mic, something could happen. So you contact the show. Let us know what you think of us. Leave us a voicemail. Back up and running, 877-321-65.
You know who's not very good at muting his mic?
I never do.
Really?
Our production call in the morning. Andrew, put your shoes on.
Let's go.
When we come back, JP Morosi with the latest on the
brush your teeth
market.
Yesterday was bananas in the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes. JP Morosi, you had a front row seat on MLB Tonight. They were saying, it's not you, it's me. Him talking about his suitors. He has narrowed them down to 3. Good morning. What did you think of that news?
Lauren, good morning. We are indeed potentially mere 24 hours, maybe 48 hours away from learning where Roki Sasaki will sign, because the international signing period begins tomorrow, Wednesday, and we expect is sooner rather than later to learn where Roki Sasaki is going to sign. First reported by Jeff Passan, Dodgers, Padres, Blue Jays are the final trio. And I listened intently, Lauren, to the conversation off the top of the show between Harold and Matt, and there's an argument to be made for all 3 of the remaining teams. And I'll give the quick top line reason for each of them. We can dive in deeper on all 3 of them. When you think about the Dodgers, of course, they're the reigning World Series champions. They already have multiple Japanese superstars there. There's a pretty strong proof of concept there that when you sign, you get a chance to win and excel. I think that's a very obvious fit for those reasons. With the Padres, the connection is deeper. And Harold talked about this, about Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish is the person that Roki Sasaki grew up idolizing in Japan. He is the one to whom he has the greatest personal connection. In Japanese culture, there's the senpai-kohai relationship, and Darvish is Sasaki's senpai in that way, meaning he is the one that he looks up to. There's the respect. He's the elder. There is that mentorship relationship that exists much more so with Darvish than anybody else. So if his dream is to play with his mentor, San Diego is where he will go. Toronto, by contrast, presents a really unique opportunity because they have, in many ways, Lauren, what is described as best-in-class facilities, both in Dunedin and in Toronto. They also have, notably, excellent pitching program. Pete Walker is the pitching coach. You think about the number of pitchers who have gone there and excelled. Berrios, Gossman, Bassett, of a more recent vintage, Bowden Francis coming in. Yusei Kikuchi had a really strong season last year prior to the trade. So the Jays are somewhat known as a good place to go as a pitcher. So and also, and Harold talked about this, really strong Japanese community in Toronto as well. What an amazing culture Toronto has. So I think for all 3 teams, you can build a very strong case. And Lauren, at this moment in time, it is simply up to whatever Roki Sasaki wants to do, given how close all the offers are going to be financially.
What does JP Morosi say? 1 to 3, most likely to least.
That's a tough question, Lauren.
I'm a journalist, though.
You are a journalist. I really believe. I think the characterization that's been out there that the Dodgers are the favorites and the clear favorites. I don't feel that way right now. Now that's again this is not my report. This is just my sense of where things are going. He may still wind up there, but I do not think that this is an inevitability that he's a Dodger, which has been the way that some people have portrayed this along the journey. I think San Diego's got a real chance here because of that Darvish connection. And honestly, if he doesn't go there, it would not surprise me at all if it ends up being Toronto, just because of what they presented to him. He took a trip, according to Sportsnet, Shai Davidi reporting on this. There was a visit for Roki to Toronto. I love Toronto even in the winter, but you don't go there casually in January. You've got to have a good reason to go there. So I think that is a pretty strong evidence of his seriousness and his sincerity in looking at Toronto. I do believe San Diego may have been the more recent visit in that perhaps they've got that final visit where that's almost like the closing argument for the Padres. So I could very easily see that if he goes to California, it would be in San Diego and not.
So Padres, that's a new team I invented. Padres, Dodgers, Blue Jays in that order.
I may say Padres, Jays, Dodgers.
Wow. Okay.
That's just my as of this moment in time on a Tuesday morning, fully acknowledging that he's going to make his own decision. But if I had to rank them right now, that's where I would go.
Okay, yesterday you love Canada. Perhaps he does too.
そしてついにこの興奮の波浸く旅もここで幕を閉じますが、私たちはまだその要因に浸っていますね。この朗希佐々木に関する動きは MLB の歴史につまびれるような話題を提供してくれました。日本の少年、そして日本のプライドである佐々木が MLB の市場に参戦している様子は世界中のファンをワクワクさせています。ドジャースの1位にたけるこの大会、サンディエゴ、パドレス、そしてトロントの日本人プレーヤーが声を掛け合う様子は MLB のダイナミズムに新たな光と感動をもたらしています。対象されるのはそれの結果だけではなく、この試合に言い知れぬ経験を持ち込んでくれる大会差の深さには疑いの余地はありません。朗希佐々木のプレーにより MLB のすべてのファンにとってとても大きな自慢の花品となるでしょう。対象されるのはその実績や組織されたチームのひらめきにとどまらず、住局気象的な部分も大切になるのです。サンディエゴのみならずトロントとパードレスもこれらを守り抜いています。皆さんもご存知の通り、MLB の光のスポットには、さらに大きな興味を持つ日本のプレイヤーたちが増えています。日本人との関係は少しずつ近づいていると感じられませんか？日本のスタープレイヤーの日本との結びつきが相手に楽しまれるよう、また、サンディエゴにも新たな選手が現れることを期待しましょう。日本の絵のようなファンがこの MLB のストーリーを見守ることができたのは絶好の機会でした。より実績を再生してください。対象されるのは重い貢献の結果です。あなたのチームやコミュニティを不続けなるよう必ずこの提供を守り抜いてください。お大事にしていただいているのは日本人がMLB の知識の不断なプロセスに浸ることです。最後になりますが、この試合を大いに検証してください。あなたの思い出や感想を人に伝えてください。そして、私たちのチャンネルをフォローしていただき、更新情報を一緒に楽しんでいきましょう。コメントやアイデアも大歓迎です。必ず爪の笑顔が一つ状になります。この日に感謝を語り、再び MLB の大きな力を認めざると満足感を持てます。これからの MLB の行方も大きな予想が湧いています。特に本からの最新の挑戦者たちがより大きなステージへ調和していく様子に大きな期待を持てます。MLB は日本のファンたちにも深い関心を持っています。これらの連携は将来の大きな成果につながると信じています。日本の MLB ファンの皆さん、一緒にこの流れに参加していきませんか？日本のプレイヤーの詳しい情報や感想をここで共有し、MLB の新しい革命を一緒に体感しましょう。私たちのチャンネルをフォローして、最新の MLB 法をチェックしていきましょう。 メッセージやコメントを大歓迎します。皆さんと一緒に MLB の未来を展望していくのが楽しみです。もしかして、あなたの周りに MLB の知識が汚い方がいたら、このチャンネルを提供して、MLB の光と感動を共有してください。MLB の未来を謝罪し、日本人がいかに MLB に貢献しているかの記事を深くプロモートし、